Hello, Science Alliance. Hello, it's me, Lara. I do home ed science lessons online where you answer questions and I give you feedback. This is not one of those. This is the weekly science show where I just tell you all about a thing I learned this week and then do a Lego story time at the end. So this one is on the Mariana Trench. Some of you will know loads about the Mariana Trench already. Some of you might not know what it is. I'm hoping a lot of you are the second lot because I didn't know very much about the Mariana Trench at all last week. I'm just going to tell you that it's a trench and it's in the sea. Knowing that information, let's play Pin the Mariana Trench on the planet. Where is the Mariana Trench? Here is a gorgeous copyright-free map that I got off Wikipedia Commons. What do you reckon? Even if you're really a massive fan of the Mariana Trench, you might not know this. Where do you think? Let's zoom in a bit, give you a clue. Oh, so China's up here. That's Australia there. Where's the Mariana Trench? Zooming in a little bit more. I'll tell you. It's there. See that big curvy thing there? Let's go a bit closer. There we go. Look at that. So you will be able to see some islands called the Northern Mariana Islands. That is not a coincidence. And then Mariana Trench. Sorry, the camera's focusing on my finger. Written in white. And then just at the bottom, can you see there in white? It says Challenger Deep. World's greatest ocean depth. That's what we're talking about today. So yeah, the Mariana Trench is the deepest ocean trench on Earth. The deepest bit, the bit everyone gets excited about, is Challenger Deep. It's about 10,900 meters deep. The famous fact about Challenger Deep is that if you got Mount Everest, but if you got Mount Everest and turned it upside down and put it in the sea, it wouldn't reach the bottom of Challenger Deep. It's good, isn't it? It's good. It's been a long time coming, this show. So you probably know that water freezes at pretty much 0 degrees. So the temperature right at the bottom of Challenger Deep is between 1 and 4 degrees. It's not a very interesting story. It got its name from the Mariana Islands, which were named after like some queen of Austria. But anyway, there we go. So we'll talk mainly about Challenger Deep. Well, first of all, I'll tell you how it formed. So you maybe know that Earth is made of tectonic plates, all right? The surface of Earth is not like one complete crust. It's broken into kind of paving slabs that move around. So the Mariana Trench, and indeed all the trenches of the oceans, are formed when two tectonic plates move together and something's got to give. So one of them ends up going under, subducting under the other one, and all the material on the top of that plate gets scraped off. So some of the oldest bits of crust we found are in the Mariana Trench. So here's a diagram of what I just said with my hands. See? These two grey bits are ocean tectonic plates, and there we go. One's going underneath the other. So the Mariana Trench is kind of where they meet, right? Have humans been there? I hear you cry. Yeah, we have. So mankind has explored the Mariana Trench 27 times. 29 times. 7 of those times it was an actual human, like in a thing, looking at the Mariana Trench, and the other times were robotic. Might surprise you that the first time we ever explored it was humans doing it. In 1960, someone built a beautiful sort of submarine. I'm going to call it an uppy-downy submarine called the Trieste. Here's a picture of it. There we go. That's, again, not very exciting. It's called the Trieste because it was made in Trieste. Here is a map of what Trieste looks like. So come on, little physics puzzle for you here. Other deep sea vessels had to be lowered down, like on chains or something, but the Trieste was free to move around. So in order to be free to move around, let's talk to you for a sec. In order to be free to move around up and down in the ocean, you need to be able to control how heavy you are, yeah, your weight. So you need stuff that's going to weigh you down, and you need stuff that's going to make you float. And then you get rid of either one of them and you go up or down, yeah? So having a look at this plan, can you spot some things that would make the Trieste go up and spot some things that would make the Trieste go down? That's quite tricky, but you might have a go. So you've got a water ballast tank here. You've got some gasoline tanks there, loads of those. You've got propellers, a vent, release magnets, air valve, ballast, hopper, ballast release magnet, window, observation gondola. What do you reckon? Anything there that you can see that is going to make something go up in water? And something that's going to make it go down? If you've answered already and you're bored, you can always like and subscribe, can't you? The thing that you might have got is the thing to make it go up were the gasoline tanks, right? So gasoline is petrol. If you've ever poured oil onto water, then you will have seen that the oil floats above the water. Oil is less dense than water, it floats. So it's full of gasoline, which seems weird, like petrol, so that it can float. And the downwards bit is this stuff called ballast here. It's got 9,000 kilograms of iron pellets as ballast. The thing we're really interested in is this bit, this tiny little sphere here, which is 2.16 meters across, which is where the crew were, just 2 members of the crew. So if I show that photo again, just this little bit is where the crew were, and this is basically all petrol. Doesn't sound very safe, does it? I'll spoil it, they did survive, they were fine. Here they are. This is Don Walsh at the bottom and Jacques Piccard in that little sphere on the bottom of the Trieste. So this is the first time that humans have ever gone in to Challenger deep. Isn't that amazing? They went down at just under 1 meter per second. That's how fast they went. So it took 4 hours, 47 minutes to get to the bottom. After 9,000 meters, the thick glass window cracked, but they kept going. Absolutely amazing. So there's an awful lot of pressure. We'll talk about pressure when we do the activity in a sec. But obviously there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of seawater pushing down on you, like miles and miles of seawater above you. So the walls of the little observation sphere in the Trieste were 12 centimetres thick to stop them just like collapsing in. I think it was on this trip that someone had accidentally left a light like in the Trieste that was supposed to have been taken out before they dived, and apparently it just imploded, which gave them a shock. But yeah, they kept going and they did make it to the bottom, as you can see in this amazing diagram that I've drawn. So they spent 20 minutes at the bottom. Am I surprised? It's not that long, is it? What do you reckon? They were quite uncomfortable. Why were they so... I mean, obviously loads of reasons they were uncomfortable, but it wasn't to do with how small the Trieste was. Not to do with oxygen, they could breathe. It's because, yeah, they could breathe and they had something taking away their carbon dioxide, but it was really cold. It was 7 degrees. Apparently they just ate chocolate the whole time to keep their energy up. But yeah, they were down there for 20 minutes. What did they see? I can hear you screaming. Well, they couldn't take photos apparently because it was too cloudy. They said that they saw some sole and some flounder, so types of flatfish. But scientists don't think those fish can live that far down. So we think maybe it was a sea cucumber that they saw, which can live that far down. And they, like Walsh said afterwards, yeah, our biology it's not that great, actually. I just love this. I love this. It's the first time ever you've built this amazing submarine at massive expense and only 2 humans have gone down to the bottom of the Challenger deep. What did you see? Oh, I don't know. We don't really know a lot about fish. It's like me being the first person to go to Mount Everest and you saying, Laura, what animals did you see? And I was like, oh, something furry. I think it was a cat. Are you sure it was a cat? Laura, that doesn't sound right. Maybe it was a wolf? Oh yeah, maybe a wolf. I don't know. Anyway, that's the story of Piccard and Walsh, who were the first people to go down, and they did survive. If, sort of as an aside, you are getting Jacques Piccard mixed up with this person, Jean-Luc Picard. Jean-Luc Picard is the one from Star Trek. I've been getting them confused for 40 years in my head. Jean-Luc Picard, never been down to the bottom of the ocean. But apparently the people who wrote Star Trek did name him after the Picard family, who are famous explorers, so don't feel bad. Right, let's do... So we're talking a little bit about pressure, okay? Because there's a huge amount of pressure right at the bottom of the ocean, so I thought we'd do this activity. It's been driving me mad. You need a plastic bottle that has got to have a lid. And you've got to have filled the plastic bottle all the way up to the top with water. So you're better standing it in the sink because some will spill over. And then you need a biro lid. If it's a biro lid that's got holes in the top, you'll have to block them up with blue tack. But ideally a biro lid with no holes, or plug the holes with blue tack. And then what you do is you put some blue tack onto the end of the biro lid. And you put it into the bottle so that it just floats, like it's nearly sinking, but it's not quite sinking. Some of you have done this with me before when we did the shark show, but it turns out that was like 2 years ago. So yeah, it's a lesson in patience and perseverance. If it doesn't work, maybe your biro lid's not quite right, get another one. Or maybe your bottle's not quite right. I emptied an entire bottle of olive oil out into a jug, only to find that it still didn't work with the olive oil bottle. I was very cross. But anyway, when you've done that, put the lid in so that it's got a bubble of air in the lid, right? So just put it straight down and then screw the lid on to your bottle. Plastic bottle full with water, biro lid with a bit of blue tack on the bottom so that it just floats. Screw the lid on, and then when I squeeze it, something awesome will happen. It will happen. You ready? You ready? Squeeze. Yeah! Can you see? It's going down. That is good, right? It's good when it works. It takes a lot of faffing around with. And when I let go, it goes up again. And then sinks forever because I ruined it. That's it. So what you saw there is a biro lid going up and down when you squeeze the bottle. So it didn't anymore. I give up. Why did that happen? Well, we need to talk about pressure. The pressure at the bottom of Challenger Deep is 1,000 times greater than air pressure. What does that actually mean? Well, let's talk about physics, okay? So when you squeeze the plastic bottle, you're increasing the pressure inside the bottle, right? You're forcing like the water and the air that's inside to get closer together, right? That's basically just what pressure is. It's like how much pushing per a certain amount of area. So what happens when you push on water and air? Well, everything in the world is made of particles, okay? They can be arranged in different ways. So particles in a gas look like this. They're quite far apart, they're free to move. Particles in a liquid are touching each other. Kind of like a ball pool. So they can all move around each other, but they're touching. So that's what that's like a model for water particles. So when you squeeze the bottle, the water particles, they don't compress, like they don't want to be squeezed. They're already right next to each other. But the gas, which you've trapped in your biro lid, that will happily squeeze, right? There's quite a lot of space between the particles. So if this is your biro lid with air inside, what happens when you squeeze is that, let's say the water was only like up to there, and there's water all around you. Wow, this is not my finest diagram hour. When you squeeze the water, more water ends up inside the biro because the air particles get squished further and further and further up, which makes the whole biro lid situation more dense, okay? It's got more water in it, so it's got more particles in it, right? It's now more dense, so it sinks. Okay, now, when you look up on the internet, cool animals that live in the bottom of Challenger Deep, what are you expecting to find? You're expecting, like deep inside, right? We're all hoping to find like megalodons or plesiosaurs that we thought were extinct but aren't. Such is the pressure at the bottom that bones just can't exist. Like air particles get squished under pressure, like maybe you've just done it if you've done that activity. In the depth of Challenger Deep, bones are squished, and even proteins, like the stuff that your DNA is made of, get squished really hard for animals to survive. They've got to be very well adapted. So, I mean, this website was really fun. Like, you should go to it. So if I search for creatures of Challenger Deep, this sort of thing comes up, right? 15 strange and scary animals of the Mariana Trench from the Dutch Shark Society. It is a brilliant website. I've learned a lot about very cool animals, but I haven't really learned anything about the animals from the Challenger Deep. Like, here's a dragonfish, which is found in deep water. That thing is totally awesome, right? But actually, if you read it, it says they're found at depths between 700 to 1,800 metres. Like, 1,800 metres? Challenger Deep is 11,000 metres. So, like here, the black sea devil anglerfish, which is just, like, terrifying. That's the kind of thing you're hoping to find right deep down at the bottom of the ocean, yeah? But they're just not there because their tiny bones would be squashed to pieces. So what is actually in Challenger Deep tends to be smaller and squishier than that. Here is a picture of, I don't know why I'm laughing. All creatures on Earth are beautiful. This is a picture of the fish that lives the deepest down of any fish we know. I don't think it was found in Challenger Deep. It was found in the Sirena Deep because the Mariana Trench has got lots of deep bits. The Mariana Trench is like the third deepest, so it's still pretty deep. This fish lives at 8,000 metres. There it is. It's called a snailfish. Isn't it great? The snailfish, everyone. Let's just get right in there. So it's floppy. It's very floppy. Why is it so floppy? Well, fish, it turns out, it's this weird thing about fish. They can't survive below 8,400 metres. Like 8,300 metres, fish. 8,400 metres, no fish. What I read was, that horrible fishy smell that we smell is a chemical which fish have, which like draws water into their bodies. So when they're under a lot of pressure, they've got a lot of this chemical in them. They draw water into their bodies and it kind of balances out the pressure so they don't, technical term. But if you get too deep down, they'd need so much of this chemical that so much water would go into their bodies that they'd like, technical term. So there would not be any fish at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The kind of things you're going to find are crustaceans, right? So crustaceans like crabs, wood lice, and this dude here, this tiny little dude. There we go. So the proper word for this creature, frantically checked notes, is an amphipod. This is an amphipod. We weren't expecting to find them so deep down. It's cute, isn't it? It looks like it's been like stabbed with some kind of spear, but I think that is part of its body. So yeah, amphipods have little shells made of calcium carbonate, like same sort of stuff that eggshells are made of. And that deep down, we thought that they would be under so much pressure that they'd dissolve. But this guy takes in aluminium particles. If you've seen my periodic table lesson this week, they're actually aluminium ions, like charged aluminium particles, and sort of turns them into slime in its body using enzymes and coats its body with this like metal slime so it can't dissolve. I mean, we are talking adaptions, people. Here is another thing. This is the biggest cell, again. If you've been to my home ed lessons, we know about cells. Cells are, well, we've got like loads and loads and loads of them in our body. Cells are just like a cell membrane with a nucleus inside. This is the biggest one ever found. Oof. In the Mariana Trench. And it's called a xenophyophore. Xenophyophore. It's 20 centimetres, but it's just a cell. And apparently it's got loads of nuclei in it. I don't know how that works. I thought all cells only had one nucleus. That thing's got more than one nucleus. But anyway, I mean, it's 20 centimetres big, which doesn't sound very big, but that's absolutely massive for a cell living at the bottom of the sea. And apparently it can bring like really things that to us would be really dangerous into our bodies, like uranium and mercury. So it's very good at surviving. And it gets minerals from its surroundings, because everything on the bottom of the ocean is just living off the other creatures' sort of poo, scum, the stuff the other creatures don't want, you know, like the dead creatures that float to the bottom. It's called marine snow, isn't it? But obviously this is so deep down that a lot of the marine snow has already been eaten. So these creatures, apparently they just eat everything. Like they eat, one of them is adapted to eat wood. So even the scientists that were studying it, there was a little bit of wood on their camera and it started like chewing on the wood. I think that was the crustacean that we saw earlier. It's kind of adorable. I don't know. Anyway, right, just checking my notes to see if I've missed anything out about these amazing, yeah, it was the amphipod that was the wood muncher. And there's loads of them down there. And the other creature that you find mainly at the bottom of Challenger Deep is this dude, which we've already discussed a little bit. The sea cucumber. Don't be rude, okay? A little lesson for us here. This is what a sea cucumber looks like when humans drag it out of the depths of the ocean, okay? But here's what they look like actually in the ocean. Ah, totally beautiful, floaty. So this is what a sea cucumber looks like to a human, but to other sea cucumbers, they're gorgeous, right? And they're supposed to be floating, so it's just something to remember. Right, I'm going to go to story time, ending on a slightly sad note, actually. You would think, wouldn't you, that the bottom of the ocean would be completely pristine, like untouched by human hands, apart from a couple of us. But no, they found plastic bags down there, obviously, because it's the bottom, isn't it? So apparently there's a huge microplastic problem at the bottom of the ocean, and obviously the Earth's crust is literally kind of melting there and dissolving and bubbling up. So any plastic that are in that Earth's crust are going on and coming out. that was a bit depressing. So just before I do story time, again, this is depressing, but I don't know why it amused me. The Trieste, how did it find exactly where the Mariana Trench was? Okay, obviously they knew it was there, they planned the route, but how did they know where to put the Trieste in order to make it go down? A ship went before them, and at the time, it was 1960, how they found the trench was, they dropped it's just not good. They dropped explosives over the side and basically sort of listened with equipment to see how long it took the sound of the explosion to get to them. And they just did that until it took so long that they knew, oh yeah, Challenger Deep is below us. How many explosives do you think that they had to drop off that ship? So that your creature, you're living right deep down at the bottom of the ocean, you've never seen a human before, you're about to meet 2 humans, what do you think your introduction to humanity was? How many? 300! Just like, oh, what sea cucumbers must think of us? We just dropped 300 bombs off the side of a ship. Like, no. I don't know why I find it so funny. It's not funny. It just sums humans up, doesn't it? Anyway, on that note, there is something that we haven't discussed, okay? I've talked about the first voyage down to Challenger Deep. But what we haven't talked about, I don't know if you've noticed, is how we found out Challenger Deep was there in the first place. How did that ship know where to go and chuck all its bombs off the side? That's what Storytime's about. I'll tell you right now, come here. The Royal Society, a group of amazing people who wanted to know how the world worked. So they got together in 1660 and started investigating. Isaac Newton was their leader for a while. We've talked about the Royal Society a lot. We haven't mentioned the fact that in the late 1800s, they bought a ship off the Navy, HMS Challenger. It had 17 guns on it when the Royal Society bought it. Sorry. But they took most of them away because they needed the space for their laboratories. HMS Challenger was going to become a science ship. Yeah, ship of science. They also added lots of extra cabins. They made loads of modifications. They needed the cabins because this ship of science was going to have nearly 250 staff on board. Got a little question. I don't usually ask you questions in story time. What kind of staff do you need? All right. It's 1872. You should be able to think of loads of different people you would need on a ship if you were going to explore, like, basically the whole ocean on this sailing ship. Go on. Can you get to 10? How many different members of staff are you going to need? 2. 1. Well done if you said scientists. Yes, absolutely right. It's a science expedition. You need a crew. You need people who just know how to work a sailing ship. You're going to need officers, people qualified to tell the crew what to do. Well done if you said that you would need a chef as well, some cooks. People in Facebook in the comments were saying you would need a priest. Yes, excellent. You would also be in need of an artist, because photography has been invented, but it's pretty new. They're not using film, they're very slow to use, so an artist is incredibly important on a scientific expedition to capture all the creatures or new plants and things that you're going to see. And here they are, for real life, some of the crew of HMS Challenger. And here's a gorgeous example of why they would need an artist. This is a painting of Challenger, drawn by crewman sub-lieutenant Herbert Swire. Well done, you. Lovely job. So what was all this for? What was HMS Challenger going to do? Well, the team of HMS Challenger had one mission: to measure the temperature of the sea in different places, and the depth of the sea, and how far light travelled into the sea, and to find out what seawater was made of exactly, and to find out why the floor of the deep sea, why was that there, what was it made of? Okay, they had lots of different missions, okay? You don't spend that much money on a science trip to just discover one thing. But anyway, it set off on the 21st of December, plop, from Portsmouth on its journey, which would end up covering 79,000 miles. Okay, so it set off from Portsmouth, this is here, in 1872, and as you can see, it just went all over the shop. Years later, 1875, they're around here, which is the bit that we're interested in. Why, by the way, would you be interested in what was lying at the bottom of the ocean in the late 1800s? It's because this was the time of telegraphs. The telegraph had just been invented. So if Britain wanted to be able to talk to America, they were going to have to lie an awful lot of cable down on the bottom of the ocean. So that's one of the things funding this trip was a desire to know about that. Have you ever wondered, by the way, how wooden ships managed to float along in the water for so long without their bottoms going rotten? Well, HMS Challenger had a copper bottom. Yeah, it was covered in metal to stop it being attacked by creatures of the sea and going rotten, although that copper bottom would end up being the ship's demise. Wonder if you can guess why. Why would having a copper bottom mean the ship ended up being destroyed? I'll tell you at the end. Now, it mainly used sail power to get along, but it did have a steam engine which it used for something called dredging. A dredge was basically just a bit of wood with a mop and a metal net attached to it. So the mop would kind of scrape up all the creatures from the floor of the ocean, and then the net would catch them. Not rocket science. And then the scientists would pick stuff out of the nets, wash them, and put them into jars full of sometimes salt water or sometimes alcohol to keep them fresh so that people could study them when they got back home. Nice, eh? About 4,700 new species of marine life were discovered in this way. Isn't that great? So they went quite near the Arctic Circle. They saw some whales, they saw some ice. They became the first ever ship to take photos of an iceberg. But this was not the most exciting first for Challenger. So they got to north of Australia and they had to use their rope. On board Challenger, see if you can work out why, on board Challenger were 181 miles of rope. Why on earth would Challenger be carrying 181 miles of rope? Very good quality hemp. Why? Well, that's how you measured the ocean, right? How you measuring how deep water is called sounding. It's nothing to do with ultrasound. It's the old English word sund, meaning swimming, apparently, or water. So Challenger was doing it the way that everyone was doing it at those times. It had a bit of rope with flags attached every 46 metres, and it just had a little kind of metal container attached to the end of the rope. That's a nice sound. Which would pick up anything that it got when it hit the bottom. And Challenger just got to this place, just north of Australia, stuck the rope into the ocean, and then just waited. And waited. And waited, and the rope kept going. I don't know how long the people on board were there lowering that rope into the water, but it must have been an incredible shared moment. When it finally hit the bottom, they measured a depth. Boosh. Let's do that again. Let's get more of a boosh. Boosh. They measured a depth of 8,184 metres. They had found one of the deepest bits of the Mariana Trench, one of the deepest known places on the ocean floor. It didn't have a name at the time, of course, but now it's called Challenger Deep. Yeah, that's why it's called Challenger Deep. In this ship's honour, Challenger did 492 deep sea down soundings and 133 bottom dredges. The report that they ended up writing when they got home was nearly 30,000 pages long. Here's some beautiful sketches, drawings of what they saw as well. And these specimens, you can still see them. They're at the Natural History Museum. Some of them are still examined by scientists today. Challenger basically started our exploration of the oceans. So if you've ever wondered why the word Challenger seems to be related to so many amazing things, including the famous Challenger space shuttle, then wonder no more. It started here. And I gave you a little hint about the end of Challenger, why having a bottom made of copper turned out to not be good. It's because, yeah, copper was very, very expensive. So when the ship got to the end of its life, it ended up being broken apart for scrap because they really wanted its copper bottom. Desirable copper bottom. Anyway, there you go. The end. Right, you lot. That is the end of my show about the Mariana Trench / Challenger Deep. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly learned a lot of stuff. If you're enjoying this lesson, show, etc., and you would like to support me, you can. This is my job. I can't believe I just get to do this much playing and reading about cool stuff for a job. It is my job. If you would like to carry on this being my job, basically lots of people are paying me £5 a month. And enough people are paying me £5 a month that, yeah, like full-time wage. Hashtag bless. So if you go to my About section on YouTube, it takes you to this website called Coffee. I'll write it on the board. I need to start getting proactive about advertising. Coffee. The website is Coffee. And if you support me with £5 a month, I'll send you nice things because I'll be so grateful. So I'll send you these rainbow glasses that make you see rainbows. Literally, it looks good at the moment because I'm using a lamp, not a light. I'll show you actually. Yeah, they're called diffraction glasses, really. Look, if you look at a light, it makes you see rainbows. How good is that? So I'll send you my explanation of how they actually work. So that's the interesting bit. I'll send you the rainbow glasses and I'll send you Theatre Science magazine. This is one of my favourite past issues. It's a bumper issue on colour. It's got a gorgeous comic all about Monet and his unwanted superpower. It's got, it took me ages to write this one. It goes really quite deep into the science of colour. Why red and yellow and blue are not the primary colours. I know. It's got an activity at the back. Yeah. So if you would like to receive this in the post and then Theatre Science magazine in the post in the future, whenever I write one, and rainbow glasses and stuff, then please do sign up. It's much appreciated. And if you're not in a position to sign up, then that's the whole point, is that everything's free. This is for you. You can always like and subscribe and share and do all those things. And I'll be very grateful too. Right, I'm going to go to my Facebook page because I have put up a post saying, I'm doing a live show about Mariana Trench. If you want to come, please comment on this post. So I'll see if you've commented on the post. While it's loading up, where's my notes? I'll do that thing where I have a look at my notes and see if I missed anything out. I don't think I did. No, I really don't think I did. But if you've got any questions, I might be able to answer them. Oops. Sorry, that was my phone battery running low, so it freezes helpfully to tell me that my battery's low. I'm just going to have a look at your comments. Yeah, if you've got any questions about the Mariana Trench, then I might be able to answer them. You know, I can try. Look! It's Sarah. That's very nice. Hello, Sarah's too. Alula and Lana are tuning in from Dubai. Wow, that makes me feel very cool and exciting. Yeah, I've got friends who don't live in the UK. Hello. Hi, Alula and Lana. Alula and Lana. I'm saying Lara because that's my name. Violet's here. All right, Violet. Hello, Lana and Finley. Brilliant. And Mary and Jack and Mary are here. And Mary and Jack and Mary. Mary and Jack and Susie are here. Hello. And Imogen and Ophelia. Imogen and Ophelia are having a right science day as well, like me. And Holly's telling Leanne about this. Thank you. Much appreciated. Leanne, I hope you made it. That's very nice. Nice to read your comments. Right. I really think that is it. Yeah. It's just like the 300 explosions thing. Yeah. That's it. Totally it. Sorry. Well, sometimes I'm like, that's amazing thing I forgot to tell you. No, sorry. I was just too professional today. I've told you all the cool stuff. I will see you here, this time, this place, next week for another show. I don't know what it's about yet. If you've got any ideas, do let me know. Or I'll see you maybe for periodic table home ed or IGCSE physics. It's all free. Just come check it out.